About a month ago, this was right after Brian Flores filed his lawsuit against the NFL. We were talking about the lack of diversity, or I should say, the supposed lack of diversity in the NFL. If you just listen to the mainstream media, the NFL is biased against people of color. Never mind the fact that 16% of NFL head coaching positions are held by minorities. 39% of coordinator positions held by minorities. In the history of the league, there has never been a woman play one snap in the NFL. Yet, there are 12 women on the coaching staff of NFL teams. Somehow, this is not diverse enough for the mainstream media. The entire offseason, they have relentlessly attacked the NFL. One day it's about black head coaches, the next it's Colin Kaepernick being blackballed, black quarterbacks. Pick your woke agenda. The media has used it this offseason against the NFL. Last month, I told you guys there was a simple solution to finding more black men for head coaching positions. The majority of NFL head coaches rise through the ranks of the offensive system. The reason there aren't many black head coaches in the NFL, there aren't many black offensive coordinators. There aren't many black quarterbacks coaches. That's where it all begins. If you want black men to qualify to be an NFL head coach, that's where you need to start. I thought the idea was simple. While researching the Brian Flores lawsuit, it took me all of about 5 minutes to think of it. But when it comes to the world of the woke, qualifications, experience, skill, these are all forbidden words at Woke United Methodist. Mentioning qualifications at Woke U, that is equivalent to saying the word fuck in a Baptist church. I have given credit to Roger Goodell in the past for refusing to bend the knee to social justice warriors in the woke media. He will do just enough to appease them. Then he will forget all about their bullshit and get back to the NFL being about football. Roger, I cannot believe you're blackballing Colin Kaepernick. Okay, my non-binary friend, Kaepernick can have a tryout. He sucks. He won't make a roster. Roger, we want the NFL dedicated to social justice. Okay, my cisgender journalist at ESPN, we will give a few $1,000,000 to Color of Change. Now please, shut the fuck up and give Stephen A. Smith a nice woke hug for me. Roger, your league is clearly racist. We demand you lead the fight against racism in the NFL. Okay, Shannon Sharp, my woke sister who identifies as Shay Shay, we will put end racism in teeny tiny letters in the back of the end zone. We will make sure the cameras never show it. Roger Goodell and the NFL, they've always dipped their toes in the woke pond, but they've never allowed themselves to be engulfed by the wokeness. Goodell has generally made decisions based on what's right for business, not what would generate the most boners on Twitter. But all of that changed yesterday. The NFL, they announced an amendment to the Rooney Rule. And just in case someone doesn't know, the Rooney Rule was implemented in the early 2000s. It required NFL teams to interview one minority coaching candidate during the interview process for a head coach. Like most social justice causes, the Rooney Rule, it sounds great in theory, but it doesn't work when you put it into practice. Just because you require teams to interview a minority candidate does not mean they're going to hire them. It also doesn't mean they will even consider it. NFL owners care about one thing: winning. They're going to hire the coach that best fits their culture and the coach they believe will help them win. It doesn't matter if he's white, black, Asian, Hispanic. They don't give a fuck. Can he help us win? Yes, hire him. That's it. Like I said, the woke media, they have been pressuring the NFL to fix the inherent problem of racism prevalent throughout this league. Roger Goodell, he calls up Adam Silver, asked him, how do you handle situations like this? Adam Silver says, Roger, you must submit your balls to them. Give up your balls, bend your ass over, and experience the love of the woke media for the first time. There is no love like non-binary media love. Roger Goodell listened. He got down on his knees and he pleaded for media acceptance. The NFL announced yesterday they are now mandating all 32 NFL teams must hire a minority offensive assistant coach for this upcoming season. This is not optional. You comply or you comply. But KC, haven't NFL teams already filled their coaching staff by this point? Of course they have. But have no fear. The NFL front office, they're offering a solution to that problem. The money paid to the mandated coaching hires will come from a league fund. It won't come out of the pockets of NFL teams. Well, that's just great. I'm so excited for my Saints. We are getting a free offensive coach this season. There are so many problems with this policy, I don't even know where the fuck to begin. First, this mandate was supposedly put in place to fight racism. Let's go to Google. Let's go to the Google dictionary and look up the definition of racism. Racism, prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person in a particular ethnic group. This NFL mandate, it requires NFL teams to hire anyone except a white dude. They can hire a white female, cannot hire a white male. Now, I'm no Bomani Jones. I'm no Jamel Hill. I'm not an expert when it comes to the magic R word. But I'm pretty sure mandating NFL teams hire anyone besides a white male qualifies as racism. But I digress. What the NFL is doing here is called affirmative action. Social justice warriors, they prefer not to call it that anymore. They'd rather say it's the fight to end racism. You can call it whatever you want, it's still affirmative action. They don't like that term because the practice of affirmative action is a proven failure. It started back in the 1960s, mainly at the college admissions level. The thinking at the time was, if we can get more minority students educated, there would be more diversity in the workplace. Now, on paper, it's a noble idea. But just like I said earlier, just like with anything else woke, when you put the noble idea into practice, it falls flat on its ass. Affirmative action ended up hurting minority students instead of helping them. For example, let's say you have two 18-year-old kids. One is black, one is white. They're both applying at various colleges. Affirmative action, it would lower the requirements of admission for the black students so it was easier for them to be accepted. So the minority kid, let's say they're accepted at Duke. What ended up happening, they get to Duke and they're overwhelmed. They can't handle that level of academics. It's not because they're black. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they weren't qualified in the first place. The minority kid, they end up getting discouraged. They lose confidence and drop out of college altogether. Now, all of this could have been prevented had he been accepted to a college that fit his qualifications. Now, that same thing, that was a simple example, but that same thing will happen in the NFL because it always happens with affirmative action. You drastically shrink your talent pool when you exclude a large group of talent. So what happens? Candidates who aren't as qualified look more qualified when compared to other less qualified candidates. You put these people in positions they're not ready to be in. It's not like the NFL is requiring teams to hire minority interns. They are requiring them to hire offensive assistant coaches, which, by the way, have you ever heard of that position before? I've heard of assistant coaches. I've heard of offensive line coaches. I have never heard of offensive assistant coach. The damn job, it's not even listed on the NFL coaching hierarchy. Take a look for yourself. Do you see offensive assistant coach on this tree? This new policy, it was crafted by the NFL's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Now, I changed the order. I call it the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee because it forms the acronym DIE, DIE, which is exactly what happens when you align yourself with social justice warriors. You die. Go ask Adam Silver how well the NBA's been doing since they decided to go woke. Go talk to ESPN. Hell, ask Bomani Jones. This dude fails so bad, he's not even accepted on woke Twitter. Bomani Jones can't even get social justice warriors to support him. This mandate does nothing. It does nothing to influence NFL teams to hire minority head coaches. They are still going to hire who they want to hire. And while I'm thinking about it, is this even legal? Is this legal? I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds illegal to me. Eliminating an entire group of people from applying for a position based on their skin color? It seems to me Roger Goodell's opening the NFL up to future lawsuits. My question is, where does this end? What is the end goal here? Because you know this is not going to be enough. This is not going to appease the woke movement. Sure, they're happy for now, circle jerks all around on woke Twitter, but you know they're not going to be satisfied for long. What's next? What's next? Are they going to demand the NFL create a position for non-binary organisms? Do we need coaching positions for transgender people only? What about blind people? They're a minority group. NFL teams should be required to hire one blind person. Since we're talking about diversity, let's look on the field. How many white cornerbacks are starting in the NFL? How many white safeties? White running backs? We're talking about diversity and inclusion, right? We must include everyone. No more Derrick Henry in Tennessee. The Titans, now you have to start Megan Rapinoe. Besides the color of her skin, she checks all the diversity boxes. Lesbian, purple hair, she identifies as a woman as well as a woke dumbass. Check, 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 and check. No more Alvin Kamara in New Orleans. Let's go with Leah Thomas instead. Ooh. That would be such captivating television. I am sure there are thousands of young female swimmers across the country that would love to see Leah Thomas get leveled by J.J. Watt. Where does it end? Where does the diversity end? D-I-E. It ends with your league dying. I don't know if this alone will have any impact on the NFL's ratings this season. By the time the season starts in September, most people have forgotten all about this. But it sets a precedent. And if Roger Goodell continues down this woke path, people will stop watching. The casual NFL fan sent a clear message to the league back in 2016. Colin Kaepernick started kneeling. 20% of the NFL audience quit watching. That's 3, maybe 4 million people. 3 times the amount of people that watch the average NBA regular season game. You can't bend the knee to these people. It never works. It will never work. They will always push for more. They see compromise as a sign of weakness. The best way to deal with social justice warriors? Ignore them. Pretend they don't exist. They will go away. But let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on the NFL front office mandating teams hire minority coaches. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.